Now, we all remember Benet Ramsey, the young beauty queen's death sparked a media frenzy around the world.
Well, her father, John Ramsey, is now full of regret. We'll speak to Nine's US Bureau Chief Robert Penfold shortly, but first, let's remember what happened 15 years ago and see what Ramsey has to say.
It's Benet Ramsey as you've never seen her, a fresh-faced 6-year-old with her family, celebrating the holidays. But this is how the world saw her, highly coiffed, in full makeup, the tragic child beauty queen. It's not the way her dad remembers her.
I see her in shorts and T-shirt and hair kind of scruffy and just kind of a kid.
It was Christmas time 1996. Benet's family finds a horrifying ransom note threatening to kill her. But soon, John makes a shocking discovery in the family's basement.
When I found her, it was a rush of relief. And then, of course, within moments, I realized that she probably was dead. But she was back in my arms.
Within hours, the Boulder police begin treating the Ramseys, especially John, as suspects. Investigative leaks fuel a media frenzy.
I had 24-hour-a-day cameras outside of our house for, gosh, a year probably.
The tantalizing clues, a footprint, a broken window, some DNA evidence, spark wall-to-wall tabloid coverage. It would take 12 years before the Boulder DA's office completely clears the Ramseys and issues an apology. But not before John's reputation is ruined, a thriving business no longer his, and his wife Patsy dies of ovarian cancer.
Do you ever think that the killer of Benet is still out there?
Oh, I believe he is. He's either alive, dead, or in prison.
John, with his new wife Jan, lives quietly in Michigan.
Yeah, this room will be the master bedroom.
Rebuilding is a constant theme.
No one would blame you for being angry and bitter.
And I was for a time, but you can't stay there. It's damaging to you as a person.
Now to 9 US Bureau Chief Rob Penfold in Los Angeles. Good morning, Rob. Now, ironically, Ramsey has slammed shows like Toddlers and Tiaras. Is that right?
Well, that's right. Yeah, he has done that this morning and in this book that he's written as well. And, you know, really probably no surprise. And this was an amazing case. You know, I've covered it on and off over the years. And I think the closest example we have in Australia is the Azaria Chamberlain mystery as well. This was of that level here, and it still goes on, of course, same notoriety as well. And, yeah, he really did slam this TV show now in the book, saying really he probably certainly has his regrets as well that his daughter was involved in those sorts of fashion parades. Now, here he was speaking here on American television this morning.
Benet and Patsy did that for fun. Patsy had just come out of cancer treatment.
Right.
I think deep down she didn't know how long she had to live and how much time she had to spend with her child. So she tried to pack a lot into a day. And the perspective they took on it was just fun. In fact, we used to joke that Benet needs to lose a few of these contests to understand that you do lose in life. You don't always win. But so their perspective is right. But I saw an element of competitiveness that I thought was unhealthy.
Well, as you can see there, he does have his regrets, understandably so, and he does really think, I think in many ways, that perhaps by her appearing in those shows may have actually attracted attention, unwanted attention, to what was, as you would see, was an amazing-looking little girl for her age, and probably he says he believes that a sex predator perhaps had spotted her and perhaps hunted her down, found out where she lived, and perhaps is going into those pageants was the reason why eventually she may have been murdered.
Rob, you've covered this case for years. Why is he talking now?
Well, he has a book as well, and he's got the book out there because he needs the money. As you have heard in the stories there, he lost all his businesses. He's lost his family around him as well. His wife, Patsy, died of ovarian cancer as well. He has a son as well, and I think that the feeling is now that he wants just to get the story out there, and also he sees it as a self-help book as well. In his own way, he says it was good that he wanted to move on, he could put it all out there, and of course he continually wants to say that I'm an innocent guy, even though so many people thought otherwise.
Well, yes, I mean, he was always the prime suspect, wasn't he?
There's no doubt about that. The first thing the police came looking for, within hours, they started to really hone in on him, John Ramsey. They also were looking very closely at the son, the young son at the time, very young in the house, but thought perhaps he may have been caught up in it as well. Perhaps he was jealous of all the attention that Jean Benet was getting from her mother, and perhaps the son might have been involved as well. But as the time went on, the mystery deepened. The police continued to look at them, continued to harass the family. Even the mother, Patsy, became a prime suspect as well. Eventually, everybody in the police force were fired. New detectives were brought in. They kept reopening the case. It was just an ongoing nightmare for this family. And eventually, of course, came up with nothing. The murderer, as we know, is still out there somewhere. So
there is the authorities are no closer to solving what happened to Jean Benet?
No, not at all. And I think they've all but given up now, thinking that they will ever find the person who was responsible for it. There are the police, of course, who still look at it and they say, we know who did it. We know. And they still point the finger at John Ramsey. They said, we just couldn't prove it. But he's put this book out now, and I think that's the idea. He wants to get it out there that this is my story. It's a very sympathetic story that he tells as well in this book, and also puts a warning out to other parents, and also puts the suggestion out there too that perhaps it was the fashion parades, it was the glamorous little daughter that, as I say, attracted that killer into the family in the first place, and probably brought that killer into the house. And probably, he says, it was that little girl all dressed up, beautiful blonde hair, looking not at all like she really looked, that got all the wrong sort of attention and eventually attracted that killer into that home.
Thank you for the update, Rob Penfold there from our LA Bureau.